I had somebody tell me one time they were like, "Well, you are just particularly sensitive to inflection and tone, aren't you?" And I was like, "That's all I got. That's all I got to go off of." So, yes, I am. I try not to be presumptuous, right? So I start asking questions. If it's different, if there's a change in the tone and inflection, that's when I notice. Right? That's all I got to go off of here. Yeah. Ah, interesting. But people don't know how to listen. Not, I don't know how to put that. They don't know how to listen critically. Um, there is a great deal of information you can get auditorially. But if you don't know how to interpret the information, then it's useless to you. Um, that is something that takes a lot of time and it takes a willingness to ask people questions about what that means for them. If somebody has a particular tone to their voice, I may say, "You sound stressed," or "You sound tired," but I say it more in the sense of a question, so that they can clarify if I am incorrect about the assumption I'm making based off of the sound of their voice. Now, I'm not going to do that with random strangers, right? But if it's someone that I'm trying to get to know very well, I tend to ask questions. I'm going to do one that's just a band, and then maybe I'll do one that is the other design. We'll see. We'll see how things go between here and there. Debbie, I did tell Malachi that I was telling his cow bonked my head story last night. He was cracking me up because when we were chit chatting, he was saying that uh, he was playing video games. No, I think it was probably like Star Wars or something, and he was playing with his son, and and he was stoned, and there was just this. He's like there was just talking and talking and talking and talking, and suddenly he had this realization that he was being mansplained to. He was like, I just, it hit me. I was like, oh my God, he's mansplaining the game to me. And so he had to be like, dude, Nix, um, I know how to play the game. I'm just very stoned. Like, you don't have to explain to me how to play it. And I just died laughing, you know. And so I was talking about how I will let people mansplain. I will. Like, because if they start going, they may have a piece somewhere in there of information that I don't know, right? And I might learn something if I'm just patient enough. So I'll wait it out. I'll let them finish. And there might be a gem in there somewhere. So um, that's kind of wide. We'll see. We'll see how it comes along. Um, and he was like, I think part of it is that sometimes he does things that remind me of myself when I was young. And he was like, I've got this core memory. He was like, I don't know why it's a core memory, but it is one where he was sitting and talking to me, and he was talking about like the song Hallelujah, and he was going into like, well, Mom, you see, that song is even more impactful because whatever his reasoning was at the time, you know, of why it was such an impactful song. And he said, "Now I remember you just kind of sitting there being like, mm-hmm, mm-hmm." hmm And he was like, and then eventually he got older and he was like, I know what that tone means now. Uh, that wasn't the I'm learning from you and I agree that this is super impactful. This was your like, tone. And I was like, baby, to be fair, with I don't remember it. Okay, so I have no memory of that having happened at all. However, knowing myself and my experience of you, I guarantee you, I wasn't thinking anything negative. I was just I I love listening to someone speak to their passion, right? When someone wants to share something that is meaningful and important to them, it doesn't matter if it's something I find meaningful and important. I just like seeing them talk about the thing that's meaningful and important to them. I find a great deal of joy in that. I was like, so it, it's not that I was sitting there judging what you found to be meaningful. It was that I was just sitting and enjoying listening to you talk about the thing. But what a thing to be a core memory. What an interesting thing to hold. Oh my god, I just keep dropping that. So I will clarify that I am 100% using the wrong knitting needles for this yarn. This yarn is thick, and when I bought it, I got it, and I got a crochet needle that fit this yarn. But these knitting needles are way too thin for the thick fluffiness of this yarn. So, um, I'm using improper tools. But they are the knitting needles I have, therefore they're the knitting needles I'm using. Because I don't know how to crochet a bracelet. I'm not that good. And as long as I'm really careful, I can get it to pretty much work. I'm only doing it 3 stitches wide because it's pretty thick yarn. So that's 3 across there. And then we're gonna, yeah, we're going to just kind of go until it seems like it might be long-ish enough. I know. Well, Jiggly, to be fair, when I started this stream, I was using pretty much nothing but improper tools. Um, I still think that's half of how I ended up with the nice things that I have, is because I hurt people's souls. I used improper tools long enough that then they bought me really nice proper tools. So, there's an upside to using improper tools when you stream on the internet and people are kind and you make them insane. I got some really nice stuff because people were just like, I can't watch that anymore. You can't do that. Stop doing that. You don't understand knitting? Do you want me to talk about it? I can talk about it. I don't know if I'll be able to make it make sense, but I can talk about it. Okay. I'm going to start over from the beginning then because I want to show you step by step. And it doesn't matter because I can do this all day. So, the way that I tie off my first piece, we're going to take our piece of yarn like so. I put it in there across like so. Pull this out a little bit. I've got my 2 fingers through here. and like that, right? And then I twist it around like that. I'm going to hook that there and pull a loop through. Now, was that visually, could you tell what I was doing? I can do it again if you want. The witch! It is. It is. Okay. So, like so. And that's just your beginning piece, right? It's very, very, very similar to crocheting with your first knot. So, you double check it by making sure that this one does not tighten, but that that one does. Same as crocheting. All right. Now we're going to stick one of our needles through there. And I'm going to pull it. I'm going to pull it tight. How tight you're going to pull it depends on your thread or and whatnot, right? Now, I'm not the best at this. Like, my technique is not the absolute best. I'm going to hook the loose end behind this finger so that it doesn't get wrapped around and stuck in things. I find that to be important. So I've got that pinched between these two fingers. We're going to stick the other knitting needle through the same hole so that you're crossed. They're both inside that hole, crossed, right? Now, I'm going to try to just do this to where it can be visible. This longer thread is hanging here. I'm going to wrap it around the second needle that I pulled through, okay? And then I just hook around and pull that through that loop. So now I have a loop on each. I take the one that I just made, I add it to the first one, pull it tight if I don't confuse my threads, which is why I said to hold on to it, but I lost it because I was trying to show you things. Okay, so now we've got two there next to each other. Now I'm doing a very short chain because I'm only doing the 3, but you can make as long of a chain as you want. Now we go to the second one, stick our needle through the second one again. Okay, take that, hook it across like so, pull it through. And then pull it tight. Hold on, I can't hold it in that angle for very long because I fuck it up. But okay, so now we've got our third one. Now I want this one to be 3 across. So that is the last on our first row here. I need to start the second row, but the second row starts the same way as if we were just adding another chain to this, right? So we stick this guy through. Now I will tell you, one of the things that I do that is not the same way that Ish does it, she works more towards the tips of her needles, right? So it's much more dexterous, it's quicker, it's better. I don't have as much control. I will lose my chain if I do that. So I go further back here. It's harder to get the thread through that way, but it's harder to lose my chain that way. You know what I mean? So now I've got this last one here that came off of that first one, and I'm going to pull the third one off. And this is number 1 of our next row. Okay, so now we're going to start collecting the same way we did the first row, except on the right needle instead of the left. Okay, so here's number 2. And once I get my second here from my second on the bottom row, I pull that bottom row off. Number 3, go through. And then I've got my third one, and I pull that off. So now we have this row, which is row number 1, that's completely off of everything. I'm double checking it because at the end, I'm going to end up knitting these three first, the first three that I did for the chain to the last three that I do. So I need to make sure that those are not. Oh, thank you, Zara. I want to make sure those aren't so tight that I won't be able to find them and get my needle through them properly. So I double check that now, right? So now all of these are on my right, but because I'm right-handed, I have to swap it. So I just turn it that way, and then we start over from this direction. And that's why whenever it's being knit, um, it has the bumpy quality, that the in row and the out row and the in row and the out row is because you're flipping it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And so that's what causes that to go in that direction. Or to make that pattern. I do not know how to, what do they call it? There is a technique to make it flat. I don't know that technique. Um, I can't even think of the name of that technique. What is that called, guys? But basically, we just start over. So I got my first one, got my second one, and I got my third one. Now that I've got those three, I flip my needle again, and we start over. It's a particular kind of stitch. Um, I'm not very good at that one. I don't know how to do that one. I find crochet to be more forgiving, right? You can kind of go backwards if you've missed a stitch or something, and you can catch. But if you lose a chain, um, like if I were to miss one of these, which when I was first starting and I was doing the purse that we did, I missed some of those stitches, and oh, it was nightmare material. 'Cause then what it'll do is you miss one and it will run all the way down, and so then you're all the way down your piece, it will separate. Um, it's horrible. It's horrible. That's why Ish started me with something that I could felt, because all of the mistakes that I made, once you felt them, all of the material just sort of sticks together and you can't see all those mistakes anymore. But that piece never would have worked without um, without felting it. Mhm. Yeah. See, and I know so little about crocheting. I have my education on crochet is very minimal. Um, so if I learned more about crochet, then I would be able to do more. Like I'd be able to conceive of it better. Um, but I don't know enough about crochet at all. I know one stitch style, and it's a complicated one. Like, okay, let's see. The only stitch style that Ish has taught me, I gotta find the right needle for it, or crochet hook for it, because I do have the right size crochet hook. I just don't have the right size. knitting needles. I need much larger knitting needles, realistically, for this thread. Yarn? Yarn, not thread. But I'm wondering if my crochet needle ran away. Crochet hook. God damn it. With crocheting? Kind of. Yeah. Damn it, Jiggly, I can't find my hook. I can't find the right sized hook. I put it somewhere. God knows where at this point. All right, we're going to use the wrong sized hook too. Just so I can do the Yeah, I need a big one. I have a big one, which is the one that I got specifically for this yarn. This yarn needs a big old crochet hook, but I don't know. I don't know where I put my big boy. So we're gonna do it with the wrong size once again. I actually find that in some ways crochet is more complicated, or at least the what I know of it. So I do start the same way with crochet and that first loop. Um, and then let's see if I can remember. I have not crocheted. Yeah. So we're gonna pull my first one through there. I'm not gonna do very much with this because, like I said, I'm 100% using the wrong tools. But let's do. Let's say I was gonna do three, the same way that I did three before, right? So I would do the three that I would start this line with, but then I have to do two extra. Shit, I lost it. Two past what I want the actual chain to be. And you'll just have to tell me if this is anything like what you're doing. She called this, it was some kind of a double stitch, right? Is what she called it. So now that I've got two past the three that I'm going to use, I go back to the third one. Oh, hold on, let me remember. All right, how did she do this? It was put the crochet needle under the piece like that, and then stick it through this hole that I want. That's number two, that's not number three. I fucked it up already. Hold on. You're number three. There's number three. And then hook my thread around there and pull that through. And now I have two on there. Okay, I think that's right. I think that seems right. And then we hook again, I think. Am I doing this right? Hold on. How did this go? Hook. I think I should have three there, shouldn't I? Should I have three? Have I forgotten how to do this? Hold on. Me. 1, 2. This is how long it's been since I've crocheted. So I've got those two. Go around. Go through here. I hook this. I pull that through there. Yeah. Okay, so now I have three pieces of, like, three loops. Yeah, exactly. So now I've got these three loops on there now. I'm going to hook the yarn again and go through the first two of those three. And then now I've just got two on there. And then I hook it again. And I pull one more time through the last two on there. And I end up with one. And then I take this one, flip it there, and I'm going to go back to my chain at the very, very bottom on number 2. But because I'm using bad tools, it's not going to go easily for me. But it's okay because we're just talking it through. All right, now I hook on the other side of chain number 2, pull that through, and I end up with 3 loops. I take it again, and I pull that through 2 of those, and then I'm left with 2, and then I take that and hook it through those 2, if I can. Hey, work with me, homie. You work with me. Okay, and then I have 1. So now I'm on the 3rd. I hook it again, go through, grab it, pull it through. So now I've got these 3. And this is literally the only crochet stitch I know how to do, Jiggly. Like that. Okay? And then she said we do like a chain up that way again to give ourselves the extra length. We do that twice. And then I flip it, right? And now it's very similar, but except it's through the tops of these guys here. I am the fucking worst at finding the verbiage for what I'm doing, so I hope that you can at least kind of see what I'm doing. I'm so sorry. I'm so poor at description here. And then we have our 3. Grab that guy, pull it back through. Now we have 2. Grab that guy, pull it back through. And we are left with 1. And then guy number 3 over here. Where do I stab you? I'm going to stab you right there. And she was kind of saying there's a little bit more flexibility with crochet, like which thread you stab, you know? Right, exactly. At least you know crochet. So, and then that's my second row. So that's what that ends up being like. I don't know. Do you think we should crochet a bracelet? Problem with crocheting a bracelet is I have no idea how to attach at the end. I wasn't taught how to, like, I wasn't taught how to finish a piece. I was taught, this is the extent of my knowledge. That is literally all I can do with crochet. I don't know how to tie it off. I don't know how to put the 2 pieces together. I got nothing. So that's kind of the extent of my skill level. And that's very limited, right? Um, so Ish and I have talked about getting together and actually learning more, but we never have any time. We never actually have time to sit and do something. We were talking today and she was like, in all that time that we don't have, before summer ends, we ought to try to go